So hello everybody, today I want to show you some loot that I got. It's all about Das Schwarze Auge and it's all old stuff, so this is all DSA 4. None of this is available in English, none of this is available in German anymore. These are just basically remaining books that have not sold out yet. So why am I doing this? Well, I've got more and more immersed in Das Schwarze Auge, and I've realized that Das Schwarze Auge 5 is probably not a good way of reaccustoming oneself with DSA, because they have, while they may have made a system that consists of only one rule book, and you can play if you just have the basic rules and you'll be fine. You don't need to buy that many books like you did in 4.1, where you had Wege des Schwertes, Wege der Magie, Wege der Alchemie, Wege der Helden, etc. When it comes to the living history and the lore, DSA 5 is so empty. There are actually there are no really good publications. They tell you that you need the Aventurischer Almanach to play, which is true, and I remember, and I did this in my video as well, where I did the review of Donnerwacht, the two-part campaign, which is set in the Sveltland, which is a really interesting area and the Orkland, and it's very interesting, lots of history. This is covered in, I think, 2 paragraphs or so in the Aventurische Almanach, maybe 3. And then in the actual adventure, it's kind of hinted at, but there is no description. There are no good maps. There is no description of the actual life that lives there, the people who live there, in what situation they must be in. Lovangen is besieged by orcs and pays tribute to orcs. How does that work? Nobody explains it. And I think this is actually really detrimental to a game that is set in a world where the world was always, if you like, and this the backstory, a supporting actor or actress, you know, and the backdrop, the living and breathing backdrop against which the player characters interact. So I've now started to try and get as many of the old books as I possibly can. These are 4.1, so the difference is, first of all, it's all black and white. And it is a lot of text. This one is about some of the Magia Akademien, so basically the academies that magicians can go to learn, the mages. It's apparently number 3, so there must be 2 more. And I'm just buying them just in case I need them at some point. Von Toten und Untoten is a source book that deals with necromancy. I just bought this because, you know, you never know. You might need it. Might come in handy sometime. Just even that when I read stuff, when I read the old adventures, and I'm planning on running the Aventurischer campaign, quite often you come across something that is mentioned somewhere else. And they will just tell you which book to look at, which is kind of a little bit annoying, because you pay 90 euros or so for the Aventurischer campaign, and then you have to buy all of the other books as well to just be able to play it, because important information is referenced and you can only find it if you get the books. So this is probably more for, yeah, how does necromancy work? I like the feel. This feels like it's old parchment. It gives you enemies like zombie minotaurs, living dead. Oh komm, mach mal Platz. Komm, geh mal weg. Komm, mach mal da Platz. Hopp, geh mal weg. How skeletons work, different types of skeletons. How to make them, I guess. So it is just, I mean, I don't even think that I would ever play these, because I don't know if these special abilities are still present in DSA 5, and unless you know how they work, you can't really use them because there will be no rules. But it is just nice to kind of, you know, if you have a very, very powerful necromancer, you could say, well, he can do this, you know, this is how this works. And even like, because you have nice images that you can scan and use as well. So I'm just taking this for the flavor, really. Then we have elemental powers. So that's to do with, for example, calling elemental water elements, making water walls, things like that. How to use the elements of the earth to create magic, which is also quite interesting, simply to see what they envisaged. I don't know if this is still available in DSA 5, but I do want to know its history as well, and a lot of the history that is important is only available in DSA 4 books. That's a really lovely picture. Fire drakes, hummus drakes, ore drakes, or even dragons, ice dragons. This is a gargoyle. We had one yesterday in a game that I was playing. Water gins, you know, all of these things that you can just read to bring in for flavor, find out how they work. Doryphoros, der unbezwingbare Titan. Just interesting stuff. A fire mare. So, and that is a really lovely picture as well. So just for the artwork for these two, it was worth getting them. I've also got something else which I got in an earlier delivery. I've got the Boron Vademecum and the Rondra Vademecum. Of course, my Rondra ordained me to own Vademecum because I, you know, recite from it. Schattenlande. Now this is one of the regional books, and that is really lovely because I don't know the first thing about the Schattenland. It's very interesting because that's where, you know, like some of the Heptarchen moved to. It's very interesting to read up on it. There is hardly anything in DSA 5 around it. Again, in the Aventurischer Almanach, it's like, I don't know, maybe a page. And it comes with really lovely maps as well to take out. It also describes Maras Khan. So this is basically a regional book that covers a very small area, and it is 247 pages long. 240 pages. Again, it's a lot of text. But it gives you a good overview, and it gives you a lot of flavor and a lot of information that otherwise you can't get when you have DSA 5 because it's not available, and especially not in English. And then I also got myself this one. It's another Uthuria adventure book, and it's called Der Schrecken der Schädelbucht. That is after Uthuria has been found, so that's after An Fremden Gestaden, and it is Nova Metumisa. Metumisa, that is one of the foundations, colonies that were created by, I believe, the Horasians, wasn't it? I believe so, yeah. And I just got this because I want to find out as much about Uthuria as I possibly can. Again, this time a really nice map with it. Also nice pictures, much better than the An Fremden Gestaden. And here the plan, the road plan of the street map of the actual colony. And I haven't even read the adventure, but actually the big bad has a picture, unlike the big bad in the An Fremden Gestaden that didn't get the picture at all. This one is the Historia Aventurica. This is a book which runs to 400 pages almost, and it is the whole history of Aventurien. And this is the revised edition. It's got a faux leather feel to it and look, and it basically tells you everything that you need to know about Aventuria, die Geschichte einer Welt, the history of a world. And I really, really like this kind of publication, and I will do a video at a later point. It will be a soundbite about realism in my role-playing games, because I'm quite picky with regard to how much realism I want and how little and how much fantasy. And that doesn't matter if it's a fantasy role-playing game, or if it's a World of Darkness role-playing game, or if it's utopia or dystopia, science fiction, space opera, Call of Cthulhu, you name it. I have a certain requirement when it comes to realism. And this game has been out for 30 odd years, and during that time they created the living history, and they also created all of the prehistory. So they are quite like Tolkien, only there was more people. So what he did on his own, they did with a big number of contributors. But it also explains exactly what happened when. So, for example, Borbarat is the big bad. He's very, very evil, and there's a whole cycle where the heroes can engage with the living world to fight him, and it's a very interesting and very, very, very long campaign. But you know, all of this still resonates today. So it is important to know what's going on. So what you have here is essentially what happens, and you have the timeline over here, and you can just move forward, and we are today. So this is 1021, the third Battle of Demons, and let's see when this finishes. Probably 1035, end of the uprising in Al-Anfa. And then 1036 is basically the description of when this book was written. And now we're in 1041. So things have changed since then. So for example, one of the things that has changed is that I think Helme Hafax has, I believe, attacked Garit, which is a big thing. But even smaller things like, for example, the Order of Rondra has moved its main temple from Pericum to someplace else. I don't know where they are yet, because I haven't checked it. But they left in 2014 and went somewhere else. Now, the whole thing with An fremden Gestaden is set in 1035. So basically, after the end of the uprising in Al-Anfa, where lots of terrible things happened. So even just to look at what happened there. So what was the third Battle of Demons? What happened there? You know, it's all in there, and it actually helps because you can also go to the index and check, you know. So for example, at the moment I'm reading something about Albernia, and let's take a look if they have the Orkensturm in here somewhere. No, but they've got plenty on Orkensturm. Here we are, 170 or 289 and following. Because I believe there was more than one. Yeah, the third Orkensturm. So it is very important to, if you really want to play, and if you really want to understand what's going on, it is important that at least you as the GM know about these things and can make can understand the references that are made, or understand why certain people are very important and why certain things happen. So I think this is probably also why I don't think that DSA 5 will attract very many new players, because all of this is not available anymore, because it's all being sold out. This is all 4.1. Once they've sold these books, I don't think that they're going to remake them or keep writing them. I don't know, because what they're releasing at the moment for DSA 5 is not really impressive. And now the last one. Geh mal zur Seite. Komm, mach mal Platz. Komm, mach mal da Platz. Is the Aventurische Atlas. Now, I've always loved maps, and geography was one of the most important subjects that I took in school, and I really enjoyed it. And I had my own atlas of the world, and I looked at it frequently outside of class as well. And I think having an atlas adds to the realism of the world. You know, it's not just, oh yeah, let's just draw some random map of a little area where you are in, but this is the whole world. Now, I don't know how they went about creating the physical aspects of Aventuria, but I know that the guys who created Midgard, which is the oldest German role-playing game, it's older than DSA by a couple of years, once they had drawn the map, and the guy who invented Midgard is actually a mathematician, and you can tell. So he basically invented the map and the world, and then they gave it to a friend of theirs. So he and his wife made it together and worked on Midgard together. And he's a geographer, and he looked at it and he basically made sure that the map makes sense, so that the kind of, I don't know, aspects of the world that they drew, you know, so there's a desert here, there's a mountain range there. But, you know, desert and mountains, as you all know from the Atacama Desert, influence each other. So he made sure that it all made sense. I don't know if they went to these lengths here or if they even knew anyone who could have helped. But this is Aventuria in a nutshell. What is missing, of course, is Uturia. Güldenland, Myranor over here is also missing. This is just the continent of Aventuria. And you can see that these are the maps that are associated with Aventuria. And at the moment, I want to say we are in 19. Let's see if this is correct. Yeah. The only thing is, of course, it's a book, so you can't necessarily see everything. So Salzerhafen, Nostria, Vinhal, yeah, that's where the beginning is set. So they're kind of down here. And Torval is up here. You've got Andergast up there. And this is essentially, yeah, so this must be Nostria. Because Vinhal is in Albernia. So we can take a look and go a little bit south. 23. And there is Havana. So you have Havana. So this is all Albernia, Honingen, Abilacht. And up here is Vinhal. So Vinhal is in the north east. And the place where we were, that's Auckland. Here we are. So that's where we spent some time. That's where the whole Donnerwacht, or mainly, is set. Here, and the Sveltland as well. So Auckland and Sveltland together make up one page. Now it's just a geography. It tells you its borders and, you know, what kind of important roads there are, and kind of types of landscapes. It also tells you about important local sites and about local heroes, and so on and so forth. But the point is, this is not the Aventurische Almanach, but it still has one page of geographical information. So when we then look at the actual map that goes with it, that would be 11 and 16. Yeah, that's Riva, that's not where we played. We played further inland, 16. Here we are. That's what I call a good map. We never even got this. And since we were basically playing in this area for a while, they could have really zoomed in. There was a forest near Gashawk that we go through in the first instance, in the first area. They should have really given us this map. They should have really then given us a more detailed map. They did nothing. And they gave us zero insight into what it felt like to be there. So, hier, dieser 5 kommt sei dabei. So that was, this was printed when DSA 5 was about to come out, or was already being developed. Let me see what the stamp on this one is. Zweite überarbeitete Auflage, date 2014. So this one is 5 years old. You can, of course, still use it. I mean, because obviously, you know, the new DSA 5 hasn't changed the geography. But it's a sad thing that this is also something of the past. They're not really reprinting these. These are just the rest, if you will. And here you've got more of a political, a political piece of information. So here you've got the Midden Realms. Over here you've got the Black Lands. Albernia, well, they decided to leave, so basically they've declared independence and were invaded by the Nordmarken to keep them in line with the Empire, because that's the Empire, or used to be the Empire, so Albernia decided to leave. And then we have... This is Albernia is actually geographically divided into smaller baronies. And then we have Weiden, Pericum, Tobrien. I'm looking, these are the Shadowlands. Now what I'm looking for is die Streitenden Reiche. Horasreich, südliches Horasreich, Tobrien. Almada, Windhag, Fürstentum Albernia, Nordmarken, Kosch. Okay, I don't think that they've got the... That's odd. Okay, I can't tell you why they don't have a... Let me just check. We're looking for... Nostria und Andergast. They really don't have them, do they? Yeah. But for Nostria and Andergast, there is actually a new source book that's been released for DSA 5. It's called Streitende Reiche, and for Albernia there's the Siebenwindküste. So these two, for some reason, and I don't know why they chose these two, have been released But the 2 campaigns that are available for DSA 5, one of them, the short one, is set in the Sveldland, no information. And the other one, that's 6 books long, is set in the Bornland. And again, no real information. I really don't understand how they come up with those release strategies, because I've read 2 of the books of the Bornland campaign, and there isn't enough information in there to really get into the swing of things to play there. So I really don't understand how they made those decisions. And it's not because they didn't exist previously, because we have the Streitende Reich in Austria and Andergast already from DSA 4.1, so it already exists. So it's not like they're filling a gap. So honestly, I have no idea. I can only recommend that if you want to play DSA and you speak German, you should really try and seek out the old books, even maybe secondhand if people are selling them, although I would never sell them. I mean, these are things to hold on to by all counts and purposes, because once they're gone, they will never come back. The quality of the book is really, really high, as you can see. This is, of course, an atlas, so it's in full color. The other books are usually only in black and white, but that's still fine. I mean, you know, color isn't everything. So that was my loot video for today. I'm really looking forward to digging into these and to finding out more about them and more about things, and to dive more into Aventuria. Have a nice day. Bye.